You're listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson, the podcast that tells you what it really takes to build a business and the simple steps to get you there. I'm determined to share with you the reality of easy, simple business marketing tips to make passive income so that you can start making money online. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the podcast, where I'm going to be talking to you about how to deal with people that are treating you badly online, which I'm sure many of you listening have already had. If you haven't, I'm going to be that person that tells you that you will one day. Just to say, I'm coming to you at the moment from, I nearly said Croatia. I'm not even in Croatia. This is how many places I'm traveling to at the moment. I forget where I actually am. I'm coming to you from Crete, and outside my window, all I can see is blue sea. So I'm talking about a subject here that would normally be quite triggering for me, but actually I'm very calm. And so this is the best place for me to do it. So let's get on and get into this subject. One of the things that nobody told me when I started in business is that the more visible I get, the more I'm going to have something happen to me, or a few things that might happen to me. And I was worried. I was one of those people, like maybe you are, that worries that if you get visible, people might be mean to you online, or you might get trolls and that kind of thing. And whenever I said that to any of my coaches, they were like, no, it doesn't happen. You'll be fine. Just, be visible and you'll be okay. And I really wish that they'd told me that actually it's hugely likely to happen, which I now know is the truth, because I have many, many friends who are much more visible than me and have done bigger things than me and are out there on the internet. And every single one of them has had something happen to them. There's not one that is doing really well that hasn't had something happen to them online and people treated them badly online. And instead of this pretense that nothing's going to happen and let's just close our eyes and pretend the world is lovely, I think that's a bit of toxic positivity going on there. And actually, it would be so much better if somebody had said to me, this is what you can do when it starts to happen to you. And actually, you should be quite pleased it's happening to you because it means you're getting visible. If somebody had said that to me, then I feel like I would have known better how to react to things than I did. I don't think I reacted well to things. So I'm here to be that person for you, to tell you how to deal with people that are treating you maybe not so good online. So I'm going to go through a few of the things that might happen to you, if not all of these things. So when people get visible online, one of the things that happens is they get copied. People copy them. Sometimes they might copy entire posts you've written online. Sometimes just cleverer than that, where you do a live and then 4 days later, that person does a live and it's pretty much exactly the same thing as what you were doing. They've just added a few more words. Or whole courses, whole courses can be copied. Whole systems can be copied. Names could be copied. There's lots of things that can go on. So that's one thing that usually tends to happen. The second thing is that competitors might do or say some shady things about you, start rumors about you, that kind of thing, or just generally do things that aren't in integrity to do with you, to try and make people not work with you. So that's another thing that can happen. You will pretty much definitely, especially if you're using Facebook ads or you're in the press, especially the UK newspapers, you'll get trolls. Trolls are just people that you don't know who will write really vile things about you. And it could be anything about you. It's usually not very intelligent people that troll, that they're usually bored. They're usually not who we might think they are. So they might be like teenage boys in their bedroom. We just never know. But you will get trolls at some point. You might also get posts from people who were past clients or colleagues who do things, people you've worked with before, who you were friends with, who might do things that aren't that nice and are out of integrity. All of these things that I've just talked to you about have happened to me. And pretty much every client I've had has had at least one of these things happen to them. And how you deal with it is so important. Most of the comments I get these days from people, just like when I'm like, let's say if I haven't met a friend for 3 years who's in the industry, and we go out and we have a drink. And the comment that I generally get now is, you've changed so much on the internet. You don't seem as angry anymore. You don't seem to be kind of defending yourself as much these days on the internet, which is what I used to do. And there's a reason why that happened. So I'm going to take you through a few things that have happened to me, just so that if these things have happened to you or will happen to you, you'll go, oh, that's okay. This has happened to Lisa. It's fine. So one of the things that happened is, well, I've had quite a lot. I've had competitors who dislike me because I've made money too fast. That's been the biggest thing. And they've said that to each other. Like, she's come in, she's made money too fast. Who does she think she is? She's going to disappear within 6 months. She must be doing things the wrong way. She must be doing things ruthlessly or out of integrity. And what tends to happen with these types of competitors is that once they realize they don't like me or what I'm doing, they then find other competitors who also dislike me, and they all seem to find each other. Have you noticed that? When you have people that don't like you, they find each other and suddenly they're friends over their mutual hatred of you. So I had this kind of group of, like, the Lisa Haters Club, we used to call them, like, in our business, we used to laugh and call them the Lisa Haters Club. And what they did, their main purpose was to spread rumors about me. And people, because I have quite a loyal audience, would, and even people that I didn't know, if I'm honest about it, people that I didn't know who didn't really like that this was happening would send me the screenshots of what these people were saying. And there were so many different things. Like, one person who was in my membership and, you know, I was their coach, one of my competitors sacked her by email or by, I think it was Messenger, because she was working with me, because I was her coach, and said she can't possibly have somebody working for her, even though she already knew that she was working with me. She can't possibly have someone working with her that has anything to do with me. And on the screenshot where she sat, she said she's done some things that are so awful, you just wouldn't believe it. And when this person was like, can you tell me what she's done? This sounds awful. I don't even want to go into it. She's just done some awful things. And I saw that screenshot, and, you know, I would love to know these awful things that I've done. But after that screenshot, about 6 months later, I saw somebody else who I didn't know, had never even come into contact with, on a screenshot say, oh, I wouldn't work with Lisa. She's done some awful things. Like, I don't really know what they are, but people have told me that she's done some really awful things. And so it's kind of this, people talk to one person who talks to another, who talks to another, and they know that that's what's going to happen. And so they spread these rumors, and I still don't know what these awful things are. Other things that have been rumors that have been spread is that I've been to their events and pitched to their clients. Just simply didn't happen. Lots of people say, you know, she's just talking rubbish. She isn't making that any money. You know, she's lying about how much she earns. And I think that was the catalyst of me starting to put my actual bank account statements and my Stripe figures online as a kind of proof, because so many people were saying I was lying about how much I was earning because this one group started it. You know, someone else, when I started my mastermind, called 5 of the people in the mastermind and told them, you know, you really don't want to be going into a mastermind with this person. You know, she's really out of integrity. She does some really bad things. She's not a nice person. And whenever it comes to them asking, well, like, what has she done? It's all very fluffy and vague and, well, you know, we don't really want to get into it. And that's how you know that it's all a lie. And all 5, I'm very lucky that my audience is loyal, because all 5 of those people came into my mastermind and told me that this had happened to them. And actually what it did, and this is what will always happen, the person that spreads these rumors to somebody, that person generally, it won't be looked on favorably that they did that, because people don't like hearing things like that from other people. They don't like gossip. You know, they don't really want to hear bad things about other people before they've even experienced them, because people can have one truth with one person and another truth with another. You know, there's people that I'm sure have really disliked working with me and had a bad experience working with me. Maybe they haven't gelled with me. And then somebody else will have an amazing experience working with me. So it doesn't make sense for people to kind of talk in this way. But anyway, these are the things that have happened. I've also had, you know, I was talking about trolling. I have had lots of newspaper articles now, and especially in the UK ones, the comments at the bottom of the article are always not to be read. And at the beginning, I was that person that wanted to read the bad things that people were saying about me. And, you know, they're vile things. Like, I had an article about what I'd done during COVID, And the only comments on there was about how fat they thought I looked, how, it's a pity she's not losing weight at the same time, things like that. And they're just trolls. It doesn't mean anything. It's born out of a kind of envy, a kind of jealousy of what other people are doing. And I do understand that. I have had my entire backstory copied. So, I talk about my story of growing up in a council house and how I had a knife to my throat at school because I was bullied. And I talk about that. I've talked about that from the beginning. And I had a client once that I coached for the first year. And then when she left, she suddenly started not talking to me anymore. And I didn't understand why. And then someone pointed out that all of her talks on stages and everywhere, she just completely lifted my entire story. That was probably the most hurtful one because it wasn't, something to do with business. She'd lifted a path that had taken me quite a long time to feel comfortable enough sharing. And it was, word for word the same. And I knew it wasn't true because she'd already told me that she, her parents had given her a property portfolio. And, she told me what her past was really like. But she had assumed that it was my past that was getting me clients. And obviously it isn't. It's so much more to it than that. What else has happened? I've had my courses copied, like word for word. I have had entire Facebook and Instagram posts copied word for word. And this is a funny one. I had this woman once. She came into a course of mine and then decided she didn't want to do it anymore. She didn't like what I was about. And so I let her go. And I was like, okay, it's only been a few weeks, so you can go. I won't hold you to the contract. And then every single post that I posted on Instagram, she copied and pasted with her photo on it instead of mine. And we used to laugh at it. But then we realized that she wasn't even reading them anymore. She was just posting them because she gave herself a husband. She didn't have a husband, but in my post, I was talking about how I'm really thankful for my husband, Sam, for supporting me. And in her post, it said that she was really thankful to her husband, Sam, for supporting her. And she didn't have a husband called Sam. So, it went that far that she wasn't even reading them. She was just lifting all of my copy and using it. And when we told her about it and said, this isn't really the way to go about things. You said that you didn't really like anything I was about and that you're copying all of my stuff. She said, oh, this is normal. People get influenced by other people. And there is such a big difference between being influenced by someone and just, lifting all of their work. It just doesn't work that way. Other things that have happened, and remember, this is over 4 years. So I'm dealing with it as I go along. This isn't all in one go. I've had people come into my mastermind and admit to somebody else that they're only in my mastermind to talk to the clients in there and tell them they would be better off working with her than me because they didn't really like me very much. But that person had paid to be in that mastermind. So people will go to big lengths to try and kind of ruin your reputation or make things harder for you. And that, sometimes you won't know that person has been watching you, not liking you, like obsessing about you for over a year, and you just wouldn't know. But yeah, that happened. It's crazy when I think about some of the things that have happened to me. I've had people call me all sorts by email. And when they call me stuff by email, they usually subscribe to one of my emails and they open every email I do. And then there'll be one email where they'll get triggered by something I've said in it. It's normally when I talk about money, if I'm honest. And they will then write to me and declare that they're leaving my list because they can't stand how I'm money obsessed or how I'm all about me or how I allow my child, Albert, one of my 9-year-olds, like he's a boy and he likes to dress as a girl sometimes. And I talk about that openly and they don't like that I'm doing that. They think I'm a bad mother. And they will tell me on the email exactly what they think. Instead of just unsubscribing and kind of going, this person isn't right for me, they will go that far to tell me. And I always think, I'm not an airport. You don't need to announce your departure. You can just go. Like, I don't need to know every single person's reasons for not wanting to follow me. I'm sure that there's lots of people that don't want to follow me because I am kind of Marmite and I'm all right with that. So all of these things happening, here's how I used to handle things. When I think about this now, I think how ridiculous I was. So what I would do is I would put out a post because, when you're angry, you read something or you've seen somebody copy your stuff or you've seen someone say something mean about you online or even just to somebody else who you know. And the first thing you do is you feel anger and you feel upset. And so you want validation that it's okay to feel this way. And that's how I used to feel. And so I'd put out a post about it, like on Facebook, without mentioning who it is, who the person is. I'll just say, it's not okay to do this, or why do people sometimes do this? And the reason we do it, if we're honest about it, is because we're in an echo chamber. It's very likely that if we do something like that on our own Facebook page, what's going to happen is all of those people who are, our friends at the end of the day, otherwise they wouldn't be following us, will validate us. They'll say, this is awful. I'm so sorry this happened to you. It's not okay that this happened. And they'll do that. And so it'll make you feel better. Like, it's okay. Like, people realize that this person did a bad thing. And if we're honest about it, we also hope the person that did the bad thing sees the Facebook and realizes we know what they're doing, instead of just going to them and having a conversation, which is what we should do. So, I used to put these things on Facebook and feel validated for about 10 minutes, feel like, I've done that now. I've done my bit. I've defended myself. But it wouldn't really make me feel any better in the long run. It would make me still feel bad about it. And also it meant that I was putting negative things on my feed all the time. And if you constantly put negative things out, it's not a good thing. I don't want my feed full of negative things that are happening to me. But I did want my audience to know that it wasn't all rosy, that sometimes bad things happen, but there's a balance to be had. But it also meant that I was angry all the time, because every time these things were happening, yes, I might write a Facebook post, but I was still angry that it had happened at all. And then a change came. I started to learn from somebody about compassion and about the psychology of how people behave. So think of it like this, and this will change things for you. This will stop you being angry if these things have happened to you. Nobody's ever acting as themselves. If we think of ourselves as a pure being, like ourselves, if we're just us, we don't dislike anyone, we don't hate anyone, we don't dislike what people do, we're just us. It's our pure self acting as you. But then what gets added in is some other parts to us, and this is our subconscious. So firefighter parts come in. Those are the parts that try and make us feel better by doing things, by action. So those firefighter parts will come in and go, oh, let's stop Lisa feeling bad by doing a certain thing, by putting a post on the internet. And then you also have protector parts. And these are the parts that are like, don't worry, we're going to make you feel okay. Even if you do things that are bad, even if you do things that aren't quite yourself, we'll give you reasons to justify why you're doing things in a different way. So actually, everyone has this all the time. And so when people act out, when people do these things to you, you're getting a mixture of who they are. You're not getting the real them. You're getting mainly these firefighter parts and protector parts. So say someone felt threatened because I came in and started making money too fast. You can imagine if there's someone there who's already feeling vulnerable or already lacking self-worth, or that month just happened not to make any money. She's feeling like maybe she's not as good as she used to be. Maybe people aren't following her as much as she used to be, or something like that. Someone who's already feeling like that will use a firefighter part of themselves to stop feeling like that. So they might come up with reasons why I must be doing things wrong. In their head, their subconscious will go, oh, she's probably a bad person. She's obviously lying about, those figures. So you don't need to feel bad that you haven't made that much money, because she might be lying anyway. And then they'll add in some protector parts as well. It's okay to spread a rumor, because maybe by telling people that she's making stuff up about how much she earns, you might be saving some people from working with her, because she's bound to be lying. And so that makes them feel justified, those protector parts, for doing something that ordinarily would be a bad thing, like saying something to somebody that isn't true. So you're no longer dealing with a person as that person. You're dealing with that person because of things that have already happened to them. All these different parts of them are coming into play. Maybe you're doing that. Maybe you're a person that is doing things right now that aren't your usual self. And deep down, I don't normally act this way. I wouldn't normally, I wish I didn't act this way. I wish I wasn't mean to this person. I wish I didn't feel triggered by this person and it makes me think bad things about them. It's not you doing it. It's these protector parts and these firefighter parts trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you feeling okay and not feeling bad about yourself. And so they come into play. And we can definitely get a handle on them. I've definitely managed to get a handle on mine now. They still pop up every now and again, but it means that you can see things in a different way. I've definitely dealt with it. So if you take me as an example, because I was bullied as a kid, when I was targeted online by coaches, a true self, my normal self, and maybe some other people would have just ignored that. People spreading rumors about me would have just ignored it and gone, oh, never mind. I'll carry on doing what I'm doing. I'll stay in my lane. Everything's okay. But my firefighter part was worried people might believe them because I've been bullied before. So it came into play very quickly. And that's why I started to defend myself online and, put posts out and that kind of thing, in the hope that other people, if I put a post out, wouldn't believe those people saying things about me that weren't true. And then my protector parts wanted others to know what a bad person they were, because that makes me feel better. If I think other people go, oh, those people started a rumor about Lisa, that makes me feel better. So that's my protector part trying to make me feel better. So, I'm not judging anyone that does this because I've done it. And I think a lot of us do all the time. So if I had just acted as myself as I do now, I would realize that compassion has to play a part when someone does something to you that's bad. Not in a, oh, I pity them way, because that's almost like not true compassion. It's you trying to, again, protect yourself by justifying why they're a bad person. And actually, we don't want that. What we want to do is realize they might not be acting as themselves. So if someone's copying me now, although I don't like that they're copying me, although I can feel annoyed that they're copying me, what I think is, what parts might be coming into play here? Is that person worried that they can't, with their own voice, won't be able to make money in their business? Is that person feeling that it's unfair that other people are doing really well and they're not at that time? They're feeling a bit vulnerable at that time, that they're not doing as well. And they think maybe the easiest way is just copy somebody else's work. What else is coming into play? Because somebody that copies someone else isn't feeling good about themselves. Someone that's mean about somebody else online isn't feeling good about themselves. Someone that's starting a rumor about somebody else isn't having a great life right then. It doesn't matter what else we know that because people that do those kind of things are doing it to protect themselves from something. They're not doing it because they're bad people. Someone that comes into my mastermind and says, what I'm going to do? I'm going to sabotage it and tell everybody it's a rubbish mastermind. Someone that does that isn't feeling good about what they can offer to the world. Something else is at play. It's not their real selves. And so when you know this, everything changes because the anger goes. It doesn't mean you need to be a pushover, but you will no longer feel like this anger towards people who do bad things. You will realize there's other stuff at play. It doesn't mean you let it go necessarily. I mean, you can let some things go, but for instance, I have a legal team. Anyone that copies my stuff, anyone that says untrue things about me, either online or to others in a conversation, my legal team deal with it. I don't even get involved. I show them what I've seen and they deal with it. That's just sensible business. It's okay to do that. That doesn't mean you're being a mean person. That's you making sure that your brand stays intact, and that's okay. But it means that unless it's one of those two things, someone plagiarizing me or someone slandering me, the rest can be let go. And you can see it just for what it is. Because for a war, there has to be two sides. And this is what I realized. If one side opts out, there's nowhere for the first side to go. So before, when this I had this group of, the Lisa Haters Club, when they used to do things, and they'd do things every time I launched, they'd try and sabotage every time I launched, they'd spread rumors and that kind of thing. But what happened was I used to always react. I used to defend, which made the perpetrator feel good because their protector parts were coming in and going, yeah, you've upset her. She now feels bad. And you can tell she feels bad because she's defending herself online, which means she's seen it. So you feel better. And actually, now I don't do that. No matter what's out there, I don't defend myself online. I won't even, it doesn't mean things have stopped. Lots of things still happen to me, but I deal with it the right way, which is the legal way, or I ignore it. And that means that there's no war because one of us has opted out. And so actually that group of people have practically stopped because there's nowhere for them to go. If somebody isn't doing anything back, they get bored quite easily. Now, this takes practice. It's not something you're going to be able to do overnight because your immediate way of thinking is to be angry when people do something bad to you. But one thing that I've really learned to do is to pause. So if I see something or someone sends me a screenshot, which they do often, if someone said that it's bad about me, I pause yes, of course, we're going to react. We're going to feel anger straight away. But how we react to that anger is actually what matters. We can not react. We can become ourselves again before we decide how we're going to react. We can't change who someone else is. We can't change what someone else does. What we can change is our reaction to it. It doesn't mean I don't talk about the things that happen to me online. I think it's really important that my audience knows that bad things can happen, but I do it from a different angle. And that angle is one that doesn't judge why people are doing it. So, I used to come at it as, this is bad. You should not do this. This is annoying. This happened to me. And now it's, you might be doing things this way because you've been taught that way or because you're feeling bad about things. Here is a different way that you can do things. So it teaches people a different way. And the best way to do that is the ripple effect. Show how things can be done in integrity, how things can be done in a nicer way by doing it that way yourself. Because then when others see it and they see, people constantly tell me these days how happy I seem to be, how chilled I seem to be, how different I am from the person I was online 3 years ago or even 2 years ago. They want that. And so, of course, it's going to come across a lot better. You're going to come across a lot better. People are going to, people want to be around people that are in the main positive. It doesn't mean you have to be positive all the time. I still think that's a bit toxic to be like that. But in the main positive, not always having to fight something. And my life just generally is so much calmer because I don't always feel like there's someone doing something. I know they're doing it, but I also realize why. Compassion has a major part to play. I hope that's helped you. If any of these things are happening to you, let me know in the comments on the podcast and the ratings if it's been good for you and what kind of things have happened to you. Because I think the more we talk about these things, the more we realize we're not alone. When it first started happening to me, I always thought I was and that there was something bad about me. And it was only when I started talking to people who were doing a lot better than me that I realized that they were having lots of things happen to them on a daily basis and they just found a better way to deal with it, as I have now. And I hope you do too. Thanks for listening, and I will speak to you all again soon. Have a great day, whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you for listening to Making Money Online with Lisa Johnson. If you'd like to get hold of my guide to launching, go to lisajohnson.com/launch and let's get you making money online.